Okay, so first lesson in drawing perspectives is learning how to draw a cube. Okay, so basically, if any of you have ever gone to a restaurant that has that, they put the white craft paper down as a tablecloth and give you crayons or whatever, hopefully some of you have done a cube in your life. But basically, you're going to draw a square. You can use a pencil. I'm using my Copic Multiliner OT5 pen because I think it'll probably show up a little easier for you guys. So you can do pen or pencil, whichever. And I want you to practice drawing cubes. Notice it's not perfect. My lines don't all match. Sometimes they go over. But what I want you to try, and what I did not do very well here, was to give it the illusion of the depth is similar to the front. So I want it to feel as though it's a cube, not a rectangle. Okay? So just practice doing a few of those. I don't expect you to be perfect at them by now. As you can see, I rushed through them and they're not great. But you get the understanding of what we're looking for. So if you can draw a cube, I can pretty much teach you how to draw anything. So with a cube, you have your top, your front, and your side. It's six-sided, right? The four actual sides, the top and the bottom. So again, just keep doing a few cubes. Okay? If I were to draw my cube like this, and then carry my dotted lines that you don't see, it gives you the illusion that the cube is now maybe see-through. Okay? So think about that. It's four different planes. So you see plane 1, plane 2, then plane 3 here on the front, plane 4, plane 5, and plane 6. I know that's a little complicated in the numbering, but I think you guys are brilliant enough to understand that. So again, my cube, dot, 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 dot. Okay? If I then draw a cube, so that looks like it's see-through. If I draw my cube here, and instead of the dot, 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 I just carry that down, the corner that you could see if it were hollow. Okay, so now we look like we have a hollow box or cube. I can put a lid on my cube, right? So it looks like I got my Amazon box. What I want you to get out of this, though, is again, with a cube, I can teach you how to draw anything. Now, some people like to draw their cubes, or as they're learning, I should say, draw their cubes like this. Okay, if this helps you. So you're drawing the same rough size of the cube, and you're kind of starting in the center, going to equal height. That's one way to feel confident that you're getting a more exact cube. Notice that the sides here feel that they could be equal width to the front. Okay? So if that helps you, obviously do that. It's easier in pencil, right? Because you can erase the lines, but you can also, once you get better, assimilate it. Just do the few lines you need. Okay, so let's think about this one back like we did with the dotted lines. So I have a cube. And I told you that I could teach you to draw anything if you could draw a cube. So let's start with just a simple cylinder, circle. Could be in your mind, just think about it like as a round end table or something. So I'm going to pick my middle points on my 4 sides, and I'm going to play connect the dots with the arcs. Okay? Keeping in mind I'm creating an oval of sorts, right? Circle, when it's not head on, becomes an oval. So I pick similar center points on the bottom, do the same thing. Notice that they are replicating the same curves as the top, because this bottom plane is basically the same as the top plane. And then I can bring that down, and I've now created a curve, right? A cylinder. So let me show you clean piece of paper again. So I'm going to do my box. Pick my center points. Okay. And remember, I'm doing these rather quick, but the more you do it, the simpler it becomes. Okay? You'll eventually get to the point where you can do it without, but it gives you a foundation to understand the structure of it. So again, I've got my cube. Let's say I want to draw a like a cone, okay? So you can think about it as like an orange construction cone. So I'm going to draw like just little dots of an X on the top and also from the midpoints, and give myself a little oval. Then on the bottom, I'm going to go midway on each side, and I'm going to connect those just like we did for the cylinder. Then I'm going to go up and connect where those midpoints would be. So now if you look at this, it could be, I don't know, maybe we come down and at another point, right, we now have a lampshade, a lamp and a lampshade. It can also be turned upside down and could be the leg of a sofa. Okay? So again, we've got a cube. So we've now done a cylinder and a cone. Let's look at doing maybe a triangle. So that's got depth, okay? So my triangle, again, putting in my missing lines, this front edge would go to this front corner, and this front edge would go to this corner, okay? And then I could, if I want it to be hollow, right? Now I have my triangle. It almost looks like it could be a tent, or maybe it's a custom piece. Maybe you have two unusual triangular legs like this, and you float a glass top on it, right? And now you have a unusual cocktail table. Okay? You can even do shapes that are unusual to you. My cubes are getting a little worse. I apologize. I have carpal tunnel. I took my brace off to do this video, and I'm not sure that was the smartest move. But anyhow, say I want an amorphic shape like a vase. I've got something up there, maybe the base is down here. I come in, at least now, even though the shape, I could, you know, invariably do something like that on my own without the cube, I now know that I've got it positioned so it's on a platform, okay? Not as easy to do when it's floating in the air and then you make it. So if you can create, think about it that way. So say I have a small end table, excuse me, a small end table in a drawing that I want to do, and I want to put some kind of a vase on it. So I can think about, okay, well, what's the scale of that? Again, I'd be doing this in pencil. And I'd come in and I'd get my top and I'd get this curvature down here. Okay. And then maybe I want a lamp on this table. So I take my trying to think how to do this to show you the easiest way. I'm going to make it a tall, skinny lamp. So it's really going to be more of a rectangle, but it's the same premise, right, as a triangle, or excuse me, a square. So here, my middle points on my base become my base of my lamp. Here's the center of the top and the center of the bottom, so I can connect. And then imagine, if you will, that I had the paper right. I could then carry up this cube and then again do the center and then my arc here for my lampshade. Okay? Now these are not things that you're going to have to do the rest of your life, but they give you a really good idea on how to start thinking about shapes and trying to picture things with a wire frame, if you will, around them. Okay? Kind of helps you provide the structure, or see the structure that could be there. Let's see. So what I really would like you to do is spend some time today and just drawing cubes and trying to get them to look like a cube, not short where you can see there's no way that length here is nowhere near this. Here it could be very close. Okay, so work on drawing several of these and getting to the point where you can just, again, this is sketching, right? I don't want you to use a triangle, I don't want you to use a straight edge, I don't want you to use a ruler, because even if you dimensioned or measured this length and this length, they're not the same, because this portion of the cube and this portion are in perspective. So this is the only thing that if you were to measure it, this front is the only thing that's of actual size. Okay? So just start thinking again about drawing a series of cubes, trying to get them to be an approximate, and then how you might start getting your different shapes into them. Okay? So, for homework, I'd like about 8 cubes. I'd like 3 cylinders. hope I spelled that right. I'd like 3 cones, and I'd like 3 triangles. And I'd love it if you would try 3 first initial. Okay, so my first initial obviously is Jane, so I can look at it like, here's my cube, and so I could look at it as just sculpting my J right on the front plane and then projecting it back. So the sides, right here, this is where it connects, and then back here, if I put in the dotted lines, right, that J would come, the bottom of my J would go to there, and then out, connect. The top of the J would go back. This would go back. The top of the lower part of the J would go back. Like that. And then, right. Okay. So you get the idea, but try to do the first initial of your name and creating that and taking it back in perspective and giving it the depth as well. So again, remember, start with your cube, put in your back cube, and then continue. So you could even do, let's see, that was supposed to be an A. I'm off my game. But again, you see this would go back here, this would go back, this would go back. And really in here, you'd see this go back in the A. This leg would go back. And then you'd have this line here. Okay, so I just want you to think about what goes back. How does it work? So these I did in dark because they're within. If I wanted to think about it, I could right, that would be where those would be on the back, these elements. Okay, so this is your homework. 8 cubes. On those cubes, I do want you to go ahead and put in the dotted lines. I want 3 that have cylinders in them, 3 that have cones, 3 triangles, and then 3 first of your first name, or excuse me, and so I want you to play around with those things. I would use pencil, and then if you take a pen, got your Copic marker yet, or multi-line ink pen, use that, but you can use a Sharpie or anything good. You could go back over it with your pencil, but the part that you want me to see. So on this cylinder here, the tubes would be in pencil, and then you go back in with your marker and connect just that part for me, okay? scan them, use the scan PDF, or scan on your phone, or take a picture, and upload into a PowerPoint, but it must be saved as a PDF. That's very important. Save it as a PDF for me, and then I will look at them all, give you some feedback, and that is